Mark Rogers TV running down as many bowl games as we can possibly get to. We are looking at the MACtion in action on a number of fronts during postseason play. We bring in Steve Helwig from Hustle Belt. You can join him on SB Nation's platform for MAC football. Steve, how you doing tonight?
I'm doing pretty well, Mark.
So a number of teams from the MAC in action during postseason play. There are two teams. I believe it's Western Michigan and Buffalo. They are bowl eligible at 6-6, but not invited to any games.
Both Buffalo and Western Michigan missed the bids this year. There was MAC does get an automatic bid to the Camellia Bowl, but something must have happened in there because this year the Camellia Bowl is between Arkansas State and Middle Tennessee, so a MAC team got left out there. I don't know if they tried to get one of the bids to maybe somewhere closer to Buffalo or Western Michigan, but there was some behind the scenes during the bowl selection, which left two teams out, which was surprising when the CUSA got 9 out of 10 teams in.
So the MAC actually went 6 for 6 last season in bowl games, and when I say 6 for 6, I mean they lost all the games, unfortunately, and they've had a rough ride over the past decade or so at 14-39. So trying to make some amends and basically playing teams in the group of 5, although there is a one quick lane bowl game where Northern Illinois takes on Duke. So we get started on December 20th. We've got Akron finished off at 7-6 following a MAC championship game loss against Toledo, taking on Lane Kiffin in the bunch, the Owls of Conference USA's Florida Atlantic. Just your thoughts and your perception going into this game, which may turn out to be the largest point spread of the bowl season in 41 games.
I'm not really a fan of this matchup. I just don't think this was suitable for Akron. I would be a fan of switching Akron and Toledo because Toledo, Florida Atlantic would generate a great matchup. That would be just offense all game between two conference champions, the MAC and the CUSA champions. Instead, they throw Akron, who made the MAC championship basically just by beating Ohio because Ohio had a lot of turnovers in that game. Akron, they're 7-6 right now. They didn't look very competitive in non-conference, just faring 1-3 there. Shutout loss to Penn State, getting blown out at home by Iowa State. So here's another non-conference game, and they're playing against the hottest team in the nation, longest win streak other than UCF is Florida Atlantic. And Lane Kiffin's offense has just been incredible all season long. Devin Singletary leading the nation, 29 rushing touchdowns. Given how Akron played Toledo in the MAC championship game, I just don't see the Zips stopping FAU at all. FAU's offense is just on a roll. It's a home game for the Owls. Owls haven't lost at home all season other than the opener against Navy. This is a home game, and Florida Atlantic will have plenty of fans in Boca Raton. Akron will not. And I don't know how often a team goes 7-7 because that requires going to a conference championship. And Akron's probably the worst team that went to a conference championship this season. And I think the point spread's right. The Zips are probably going to get crushed in this one. They would have to rely on a lot of turnovers. Cato Nelson would have to have the game he had against Ohio, where he threw 4 touchdowns and was unbelievable through the air in order to give the Zips a chance to keep this one close.
Yeah, Steve, I'm with you on this one. It seemed as though there was a prime matchup right there to be determined with Florida Atlantic taking on Toledo, two high-powered teams that would have created a lot of buzz for a number of reasons, both on the field and off the field, with Lane Kiffin and FAU, by far the best team in Conference USA, really dominated everybody on their schedule past September. Same thing for Toledo. If anyone caught the MAC championship game, which I did to a certain extent, but I had to turn away from it because Toledo just proved to be right out of the gate the far superior team, and there was no reason to watch the rest of the game. Not the best of showcases for the MAC there, with Toledo by far just blasting Akron. The 45-28 score does not do it justice. It was 28-0 before you could blink. So now we got an Akron team who, as you mentioned, a little void on offense, having issues there, really won games close. And by defense, trying to track down this Florida Atlantic team, it would seem to be a mismatch. Ulysses Gilbert III, maybe the best player on Akron's team, and he's on defense. 128 tackles, 8 sacks, and 5 tackles for loss there. And you mentioned Devin Singletary and what he was able to do this year for FAU, one of the best teams in the nation in FBS if you run all the offensive metrics, and Akron's on the other end of the spectrum at number 110.